Little Baldy, can you find the forest navel by just looking around? Yeah, the navel's trees are shaped differently. As expected, the grass looks the same on the inside. Hey, now isn't the time for picking flowers. Huh? No, I'm not merely picking some flowers. I'm comparing the plants here to the plants from the normal forest. I see, that's nice, but I don't need some weeds to sense which way to go. Well, I suppose. Page 87. Little Grasstail asks Little Baldy if they're able to guide them through the alternate forests. Little Baldy answers that they indeed find their way back by looking at the appearance of the Talixian plants around them, as a way to read the way to the forest navel. Meanwhile, Little Oracle takes a moment to inspect a sample of the curved U-shaped tubular grass. Looking at the cross-section, they compare it to a sample of the straight-shaped taken before they were shifted into the bubble. While the outer shape of the grass is different, the inner structure looks identical. Little Oracle believes this to mean that they have not traveled far. The deeper they venture, the stranger the flora and fauna around them will get. Between Little Baldy's way of reading the trees, Little Grasstail's way of intuitively sensing the way back, and Little Oracle's theory of the vegetation, they now have a way of navigating to the forest navel. Oh, it's a butterfly charm. The more butterflies that gather around the bitter syrup, the more lucky we'll be, right? Yeah, that's right. Page 88. The three tribe members, trapped in another room, continue traveling towards the forest navel. They climb up to a higher path and venture along, above the forest floor. Not long after, they encounter a group of butterflies that have gathered around a source of bitter syrup. This so-called syrup is a sap-like substance that comes from certain Talixian trees. It is sticky and has a mostly bitter taste, with a slight hint of sweetness, thus the term bitter syrup. It is similar to the real-life syrups Mezume, Maltose, and Treacle. Little Oracle starts a mystic ritual using the butterflies, which Little Grasstail is quick to recognize. It is called the Charm of the Butterfly, and follows the tribal belief that the greater the gathering of butterflies around the bitter syrup source, the better luck the group will share. I know my charm is rather weak, but I still hope it'll help us all. Shh, be quiet! It's the monster. It went over there. I don't think it noticed us. Page 89. Little Oracle performs the butterfly rite. While they admit that the mystical power of their charm is probably rather weak, they still hope that it will aid them in their time of need. Just as Little Oracle was finishing the charm, Little Grasstail urges them to all be quiet. Little Baldy spots the cause of the alarm, pointing out the monster in the distance. They watch in silence as the monster travels past them and disappears around a hill. Little Grasstail remarks that the creature did not seem to notice their presence. Perhaps Little Oracle's charm worked in bringing them luck? Alright, let's move quietly. Okay. I heard there's a shortcut to the forest navel through this small tunnel. Good. We're now very close to the forest navel. Ugh. Little Baldy, are you okay? Page 90. Little Grasstail suggests taking a shortcut to the forest navel that they have heard about, gesturing to a narrow tunnel through the thick underbrush. An ordinary traveler would not know about such a passageway. However, as they had been living near the Technos forest in the past, the Moledigger tribe children have discovered useful routes such as this one. After having traversed through the hidden route, the trio emerge from the tunnel to find that they are now close to the forest navel, but their joy may be cut short as Little Baldy suddenly begins to feel pain around their heart. What's wrong? My heartbeat feels a bit off. Also, there's something else. Remember when we thought I moved on, but instead I came back? I had a dream during that time, and in it, everything looked just like this. Page 91. Sometime in the past, Little Baldy had a near-death experience. During their momentary torpor, the entire tribe was convinced that they had perished and moved on, and they had begun to perform the traditional death rites. Fortunately, the fallen Sergal revived and came to, but not before their tribe mates had already finished plucking a few clumps of hair from their scalp. A ritual seen earlier with Little Warrior a few pages ago. To this day, the hair from those spots have not grown back in, thus leading to their rather comical name. Thinking back to that time, Little Baldy recounts that they had experienced a strange dream during their close brush with death. Looking ahead, they remark that the landscape of the Hexnose forest before them looks identical to their prior vision. I've lured it far enough. All that's left to do is shake this thing and get away. Page 92. As everyone continues to make their way towards the forest navel, Little Chatter is acting as a decoy to pull the monster's attention. Content with how far the creature had been lured away from the others, the bold Sergal moves on to phase 2 of their plan, getting the hell out of there. However, the man-eating beast is closing in fast, all while barreling through the trees and everything else in its path. Eventually, it comes within striking distance. It lunges forward, lashing out with its big neck to bite down on tender flesh. Just in the nick of time, Little Chatter leaps down from a ledge, barely dodging the fiend's attack. It just won't give up. I need to make sure I don't enter any bubbles. Ugh, damn it. No time to stop and think. I need to keep going. Page 93. The monster continues its pursuit of Little Chatter. After a near miss, Little Chatter drops into an area filled with teleporting bubble gates. As the Mole Digger tribe knows about the unusual phenomenon that surrounds these bubbles, our hero attempts to dodge and weave between them to avoid being sent to another place and becoming disoriented. Simply touching them has no effect, so they are able to brush past the bubbles. Unfortunately, more and more bubbles appear to block Little Chatter's escape. In their haste, they collide with one and are pulled through the bubble's membrane. After being sent to another place, Little Chatter curses at their luck, but realizes they have no choice but to keep moving. The navel. Have to keep running. Page 94. Little Chatter continues to make their daring escape through the surrounding bubbles, all of which constantly reflect his visage. Despite being out of breath, the Sergal keeps pushing themselves by saying in their mind over and over again to keep pushing in order to reach the navel forest. Hurry! The gap is shrinking. The forest is starting to come alive and move. Oh no! Ah! Little Weaver! Page 95. Meanwhile, back with Little Black-Ear's group, tensions rise as they continue to fight through the forest. They climb through a maze of trees, squeezing through the gap between two trunks. However, the space they are crawling through suddenly begins to shrink. Little Black-Ears exclaims that the forest is coming alive, a reference to a strange phenomenon that is found in the Tluxian forest biomes. As these areas consist of a wide range of strange alien biota, they form a kind of construct together that can allow for the topography and layout of the forest to shift over time. Because of this, the forest often does not maintain a static layout, rendering a map or a memorization of them to be unreliable at best. This is yet another reason to why this alien landscape are considered to be so treacherous, as the forest itself is a labyrinth network that can become a literal death trap to even the most experienced adventurer. One by one, the Sergals slip through the wooded gap, with Little Weaver being the last person through. However, while Little Weaver managed to squeeze mostly through the shrinking hole, they weren't quick enough. The forest clamps down on the Sergal's foot, locking them in place. Ever quick thinking, Little Stubtail jumps in to help. After a hard tug, Little Weaver's foot releases safely from the iron grip of the trees, freeing them to move on. It seems that they all made it to safety. For now. Ugh! Now my foot is stuck instead. Oh no. My body's turning to stone. Thank you, everyone, but I'm a goner. Save your strength and keep running. Once the stone-like change reaches my face, I will move on. There's not much time left for me, but I'm happy that I was able to save Little Weaver. Page 96. While Little Stubtail successfully rescues Little Weaver, Little Stubtail's own foot slips into the closing gap and gets stuck instead. The other tribesmates desperately attempt to pull Little Stubtail free, but alas, they are too late. With sad dismay, Little Stubtail watches as something strange begins to creep across their foot before quickly spreading up their leg. Little Stubtail realizes their cruel fate and explains that their entire body will soon become petrified, which will kill them once the process is complete. As Little Stubtail has always been more concerned with others over themselves, they urge the others to leave them behind so that the tribe can instead use their remaining energy to continue their escape. In Little Stubtail's remaining moments, they mention how happy they are to have been able to save Little Weaver. With no regrets, the dying Sergal accepts their fate, content with giving their life to protect the tribe. Okay, Hexnose Forest Petrification. To explain what is happening to poor Little Stubtail, we must first look back into the article, The Relation Between Sieg and Meals. In the article, it is explained that some species of Tlixian organisms, whether delayed or immediate, can infect the Eltis body and can cause permanent or even lethal changes in their form. These Tlixian infections can change cells from inside an Eltis person's body without anyone noticing, including the victim themselves. But sometimes it can occur rapidly with clearly observable impacts, such as what is happening to Little Stubtail. In this particular situation, the trees are turning Little Stubtail's body into a stone-like material. The horrific phenomenon demonstrated in this forest is brought on by hexnose trees, which have a very alien and strange nature to them. Due to the tree's metabolism activating during movement, and what is normally a static and benign nature becomes aggressive instead. The rapid movement of the trees also trigger a side function, which fills up any gaps and binds trees together. Unfortunately for Little Stubtail, when their body was wedged amongst the activated trees, the Sergal's flesh was recognized as an extra gap, and the gap-filling function was triggered. This resulted in the poor Sergal being rapidly eroded from within by the trees and being converted into the same material as the tree and its surroundings. While these facts further highlight the dangers present in the Hexnose forest, it is entirely possible that this is not limited to only this particular forest. It is said that other species of Tlixian trees might also show a similar nature to the Hexnose trees under similar conditions. Thus, extreme caution and vigilance must be exercised at all times when trespassing through any Tlixian forest, as even the trees themselves can inflict an untimely demise. When my tail was eaten by a monster, all of you came right away to help. In my old village, no one was brave enough to help each other, but we're better. Everyone here is so brave, so clever, and eager to help each other. Little Weaver made clothing for us all. These outfits helped us become more human. Someday soon we will live where the ground is solid and the food is more plentiful. Our Moldigger tribe will become adults. I know we will. Page 97. As Little Stubtail rapidly undergoes the sad process of turning to stone, they use their remaining time to reflect on their life and give thanks to the wonderful Moldigger tribe. They share how their current tribe gave help to them when they lost part of their tail to a monster. They explain that they used to live with another tribe. However, those in the old tribe were very cowardly and often too afraid to help each other. Little Stubtail was constantly living in fear until they joined the Moldigger tribe. In comparison, the Moldigger tribe truly acts as a family, caring for each other and willing to take the risks to protect the tribe. Little Stubtail next brings up Little Weaver, praising the significance of the gift of clothing to their tribe. This is important, as Eltis people highly value becoming as civilized as possible. This is because they have linked humanity to levels of civilization. The more civilized, the more human they become. Sieg Sergals are often uncivilized, primitive, and slightly animal-like in lifestyle, so in order to reach a truly human existence, behaving civilized and wearing outfits is crucial to them. Thus, Little Weaver has helped the tribe grow closer to this step in becoming truly human. As the stone-like change creeps across their face, Little Stubtail faces their final movements. They use this to share their conviction that the Moldiger tribe will soon blossom into adulthood. They believe that the tribe will find a place to live and that is safe and secure, where the soil beneath their feet is firm and supportive, and that there will be plenty to eat so they no longer will suffer hunger. Finally, Little Stubtail says, "I know we will," the key word being we. This is significant because, as explained earlier, they believe that their soul essence will rejoin the collective essence of the entire group until a new baby is born. Thus, while the farewell is indeed sad, it is an accepted part of the circle of life and death for the Sieg peoples. Look, there's the forest snavel. Do you think Little Grasstail, Baldy, and Oracle and Chatter arrived safely? They're probably all here. The path looks confusing, but it's actually simple. Page 98. The Moldiger tribe and the Agunder brothers continue their way down the path, mourning the loss of Little Stubtail. Before too long, their destination looms before them, the forest navel. Little Weaver is worried about the separated tribe members, and if they'll make it to the meeting place. Little Blackears confidently responds that everyone has probably safely arrived. Being quite familiar with how the forest navel works, Little Blackears explains that the maze of paths around the Nexus might look complicated, but each individual path is actually rather simple and a straight route that easily leads to the central hub. Quiet, I think I heard a voice. Little Blackears? Is that Little Chatter? It is Little Chatter. Hey, we're over here. Help me, Little Blackears, I'll be right there. What's happening? Page 99. As the group gathers in front of the forest navel, Little Lefty hears a voice in the distance. It's Little Chatter. The group rushes toward the origin of the voice, then coming to an abrupt halt at what they see next. Facing a wall with several bubble gates, they spy several little chatters, all in different angles, looking like the mirrors in a funhouse. But in this case, instead of reflections, each is a different little chatter. It turns out as Little Chatter was escaping from the creature, they passed through several bubbles in rapid succession. This caused the bizarre phenomenon that the others are witnessing, multiple little chatters calling out from plural dimensions. Is everyone okay? Where's Little Stubtail? I'm not good. I went too far, passed through too many bubbles. I won't last long. You will meet everyone once you go through that bubble. Okay, let's go together. I can't. Please hurry. Page 100. Multiple little chatters begin to slowly emerge from a cluster of bubbles. They speak in unison with a weak voice, while pointing to a large, ominous bubble. It appears that it is the main gate to the forest navel. Little Blackears implores the group of little chatters to come and join them, and all together, but one of them replies that sadly they cannot go with them, and urges them to hurry without them. With their final ounce of energy exhausted, their bodies collapse and begin to melt away, much to the horror of everyone else. Hexno's Forest Bubble Clone Phenomenon. The bubble gates of the Hexnos Forest were introduced and explained earlier in the episode. Normally they are safe enough to step through. However, with Little Chatter tried to squeeze past the bubble gates that were close together, they touched multiple gates at once. Thus their physical existence was sent into multiple locations at once, effectively multiplying them. However, this phenomenon can only multiply the physical form of a being, allowing multiple instances of the body to step out into the same dimension. However, this effect does not apply to a person's soul. No matter how many times the body is multiplied and iterated within a base reality, there is only one indivisible soul to be shared between them. Thus, Little Chatter suffers a grueling fate, with only a single soul that is unable to support all of their bodies. Once they cross the threshold of the bubbles, the bodies cannot continue to be sustained in reality, and thus they begin to rapidly collapse and dissolve. Domesticated animals, because they exist here too on Tal. Well, not here. This is Earth. Those things exist. Anyways, Tal is home to many domesticated animals, most livestock, especially large herbivores similar to cows, horses, pigs, and sheep. They belong to a group known as shellfish. Despite the name, these creatures are land animals, rather than aquatic ones. They are naturally gentle and pose little threat to the sapient races, making them easy to tame and breed. Larger species are commonly used as riding animals or beasts of burden. However, if they escape or are left without human care for long periods, they can become feral and lose much of their domesticated behavior. Shellfish are also valued as livestock because of the quality of their meat. Many species provide reliable sources of food, and cow-like shellfish produce a nutritious milk that is widely consumed. This shellfish milk is especially popular among dairy farmers in the southern regions of Tao. Now, not all domesticated animals on Tao are shellfish. Chickens, birds, dogs, and several species with more typical Tilixian characteristics can also be raised as livestock or household companions. These animals display a wide range of body types, including long-legged species, legless species, and small bipedal animals, reflecting the remarkable diversity of life here on Tao.